What if quantum computers could break any code instantly? At 3:12 in the morning, a woman who has been dead for 9 years authorizes the replacement of the world's most trusted digital key. Dr. Nia Varon is alone in the root chamber beneath a granite hill outside Geneva when the authorization appears. The chamber is not connected to the public internet. It contains no wireless radios, no ordinary mobile phones, and no windows. Its walls are lined with copper mesh. Its central machines receive updates only through removable storage carried by 2 cleared employees under camera and written log. A narrow optical data diode admits authorization requests and security bulletins from outside, but no signal can travel back through it. The precautions exist because the root chamber helps maintain the small set of cryptographic certificates from which millions of other certificates inherit trust. When a browser decides that a banking site is genuine, when a hospital accepts a software update, when an aircraft maintenance system checks that a file came from its manufacturer, some chain of mathematical signatures eventually leads toward institutions like this one. Nia is 46. She has spent half her life designing ways for strangers to trust messages sent through machines neither person controls. She knows every ordinary explanation for an impossible signature. A clock can be wrong. A certificate can be misconfigured. A technician can load the wrong test file. An audit system can display stale data. A human being can make a mistake and then describe it as an attack. This signature is not a mistake. It belongs to Dr. Salma Keen, Nia's former mentor. Salma died of pancreatic cancer 9 years earlier. Nia attended the funeral. She helped Salma's husband clear the books from her office. She signed the document revoking Salma's professional credentials and watched the private signing hardware crushed in a hydraulic press. The new authorization carries Salma's exact old certificate, the correct historical serial number, and a flawless signature over a request to replace the chamber's current root key. The request is time-stamped 2 minutes in the future. Nia does not touch the approval control. She prints the request. The chamber printer is deliberately simple, connected by one cable and incapable of storing more than a few pages. Black letters appear on white paper. The future timestamp remains. A second request arrives. This one bears Nia's own signature. It states that she has verified Salma's identity in person. Nia pulls both hands away from the console. The chamber's night operator, Tomas Adebayo, is upstairs checking a cooling alarm. Nia presses the internal call switch. Tomas, return to the chamber. Do not bring any removable device. Do not approve anything. His answer comes through an analog intercom. What happened? Someone has my signing key. You have your signing key. The active hardware token is inside a sealed drawer beside her. It has never left the chamber during the current rotation. Its private value is designed never to emerge from the device at all. Someone has a key that produces the same signatures, she says. There is a silence long enough for Tomas to understand. He reaches the chamber 3 minutes later. He is 61, patient, and usually amused by emergencies that arrive wearing formal language. Tonight he does not smile. Nia shows him the paper. He compares the revocation record, the certificate history, and the signature calculation on a separate machine. All valid, he says. No, all mathematically consistent. That distinction is going to become important. It becomes important before he finishes the sentence. Across the room, status lights change on the isolated monitoring console. The same one-way optical diode carries security bulletins. Incoming text can cross the barrier. No command can return through it. The first bulletin reports impossible certificate activity at 3 European banks. The second reports that a software repository has accepted a forged release signed by a developer whose key remains physically secured. The third reports that a national passport system has received 2,000 validly signed revocations, including one for the country's own interior minister. Then the bulletins accelerate. A stock exchange has suspended trading because contradictory orders carry correct signatures. A satellite operator has placed its fleet into restricted mode. A hospital network has disconnected remote update servers. A cryptocurrency exchange has frozen withdrawals after dormant accounts begin moving funds with perfect authorization. Several government agencies report that old encrypted archives are being posted publicly in readable form. At 3:21, a research company called Horizon Quantum releases a statement. The statement is signed by every digital identity Horizon has ever used, including retired certificates. It contains a link to a live demonstration and a sentence that will be repeated for years. "We have ended computational secrecy." Nia reads it twice. "Turn off the optical feed," Tomas says. "We need information. We need an unpoisoned room." They compromise. Tomas closes the automated bulletin display and opens a manual printer channel that produces one page every 5 minutes. The chamber becomes quieter. The silence makes the cooling fans noticeable. Nia knows what quantum computers are supposed to threaten. In 1994, Peter Shor showed that a sufficiently capable quantum computer could factor large integers and solve discrete logarithm problems efficiently. Those mathematical problems support much of the public key cryptography used for encryption, digital signatures, secure websites, software distribution, virtual private networks, and identity systems. The threat had never been that a quantum computer would simply try every password in all universes at once. That popular description was wrong. Quantum algorithms gain power through carefully arranged interference. Unwanted possibilities cancel. Useful patterns become more likely to appear when the system is measured. The process is stranger and more constrained than parallel guessing. It is also devastating to the mathematical assumptions behind RSA and elliptic curve cryptography if the machine is large, stable, and corrected well enough to run the required operations. For years, institutions had prepared. New post-quantum standards used different mathematical structures, including lattices and hash-based signatures, chosen because no efficient quantum attacks were known. Banks, governments, browsers, messaging services, and hardware manufacturers had begun the slow migration. Some systems used both old and new methods together so that an attacker would need to defeat more than one family of mathematics. Horizon's demonstration defeats all of them. The live page is not a video. It is a public queue. Anyone can submit a ciphertext, password hash, public key, digital signature challenge, or cryptographic puzzle. Horizon's machine returns the hidden key or a working forgery almost immediately. A bank uploads a test file protected by a current post-quantum scheme. The plaintext returns before the queue display refreshes. A university submits a hash challenge designed to require more guesses than any classical machine could perform during the age of the universe. The matching input appears in less than a second. A standards laboratory submits a signature key generated inside an isolated device. Horizon produces a valid signature without touching the device. Then an anonymous participant uploads the encrypted personnel archive of a military intelligence service. Horizon does not display the result. Someone else does, on thousands of mirrors, 90 seconds later. The machine is not using Shor's algorithm alone. Horizon calls its new method the Lantern process. The technical paper is dense, incomplete, and possibly deceptive. It claims that a fault-tolerant quantum architecture can transform broad classes of cryptographic search into interference problems with constant practical depth. It does not solve every mathematical problem. It does something more specific and more dangerous. Given the public structure, ciphertext, hash, or verification rule of any security system in operational use, it finds a secret or forgery that satisfies the rule. In ordinary scientific language, the claim should require months of independent checking. In the root chamber, dead Salma Keen has already signed the result. Nia reaches for the emergency binder. Its pages describe events that planners considered severe: compromise of a root key, malicious insider, vulnerability in a major algorithm, coordinated theft of certificate authorities, failure of global time synchronization, corruption of hardware random number generators. Every plan assumes that some other cryptographic method remains trustworthy. Tomas reads over her shoulder. Which page covers all of them at once? None. Then we use the part before the pages. What part? We decide what we are protecting. The question seems almost insultingly basic. Yet the chamber was built to protect several different things that digital systems often combine under one word. Confidentiality means keeping information hidden. Integrity means knowing that information was not changed. Authenticity means knowing who created or approved it. Availability means keeping systems usable. Cryptography supports all four, but not in the same way. Origin has not erased stored data. It has erased the reliability of the mathematical locks and seals around it. Nia looks at the pending root key replacement. If she approves it, the new key can be copied or forged instantly. If she rejects it, the old key remains equally forgeable. Revocation no longer helps because revocation messages also rely on signatures. Publishing a warning does not solve the problem because anyone can publish a perfect counterfeit warning under her name. The most trusted key in the chamber is now only a familiar pattern. Nia removes the hardware token from its sealed drawer and places it inside a metal evidence bag. What good does that do? Tomas asks. It stops us pretending possession proves identity. At 3:32, the chamber's physical door locks automatically. The building has received a valid emergency instruction stating that Nia and Tomas are under investigation for compromising the global trust infrastructure. The instruction bears Nia's signature, Tomas's signature, and the signature of the facility director. The building security officer calls through the analog line. Nia, I have an order to contain the chamber. Did the director give it to you in person? No. Did anyone you can physically see give it to you? No. Then do not act on the signature. That signature is the reason this building exists. Not anymore. The officer breathes slowly. What can I trust? Nia looks at Tomas. He says, you can trust that you called a room you know through a wire installed in a wall you can inspect and heard two people answer. That is not proof of everything. It is evidence of something. The officer disables the automatic lockdown but leaves guards at the door. The first decision of the new age is made through a voice, a physical wire, local knowledge, and accountable doubt. It is slower than a signature. It is enough. By 4 o'clock, the public internet still functions. That surprises people later because memory compresses the morning into a single collapse. Routers continue forwarding packets. Fiber optic cables still carry light. Mobile towers still connect devices. Search engines still return pages. Social platforms fill with messages. The network has not disappeared. Trust has separated from transmission. A person can still receive an email. They cannot rely on the sender field. A browser can still open a website. It cannot rely on the lock symbol. A bank can still display a balance. It cannot know whether the transfer request came from the account holder. A phone can still download an update. It cannot prove the update came from the manufacturer. A government can still issue an order. It cannot distinguish that order from a perfect mathematical imitation. For decades, ordinary life had placed invisible confidence in signatures most people never saw. The confidence had been layered so deeply into machines that its disappearance feels at first like unrelated failures. Payment terminals stop accepting cards. Automatic doors at a secure laboratory remain closed because badge certificates cannot be validated. Some cars refuse remote commands and continue driving normally. Others enter safe mode because their software cannot verify navigation updates. Aircraft do not fall from the sky. Pilots, controllers, and onboard systems have procedures for degraded communication. Airlines ground departures because maintenance records and crew credentials cannot be authenticated quickly. Power plants do not all shut down. Many critical control systems use local networks, manual interlocks, and physical safety mechanisms. Grid operators disconnect remote administrative links because a correctly signed command no longer proves anything. Hospitals are uneven. Infusion pumps continue delivering programmed medication. Imaging machines continue producing scans. Electronic prescribing systems stop accepting remote authorizations. Pharmacies require telephone confirmation and paper records. Laboratory systems isolate themselves from central networks. Clinicians discover how many safe actions depended on software trusting another piece of software. At 4:17, Nia's daughter calls the Root Chamber's public office line. Mara is 24 and works as a resident physician at St. Bridget Hospital in Dublin. She sounds calm in the disciplined way of someone standing in a corridor where other people need her not to panic. Our medication system has frozen outside prescriptions, she says. We can still dispense locally. The regional authority sent an emergency override. Do not trust the signature. We know. They called too. Can you verify the callers physically? Not yet. What do you need? A way to know which instruction is real. Nia closes her eyes. For her entire career, that question had usually meant selecting a stronger algorithm, protecting a private key, or checking a certificate chain. Now it means rebuilding human society from the point where a message meets a decision. I don't have one yet, she says. Mara is silent. Nia hates the sentence and does not replace it with reassurance. Then find one, Mara says. We have about 6 hours before local stocks start becoming uneven. The call ends. On the printer, the next bulletin reports that Orizin's headquarters has gone offline. The Lantern machine has not. Its public interface has been copied. The design files have begun spreading. The world is no longer waiting to learn whether one company can break every code. It is learning how many people can. At 4:23, Orizin's copied interface displays a new category called Archives. The category has no upload limit. For years, intelligence agencies, corporations, criminal groups, and ordinary opportunists had collected encrypted traffic they could not read. The practice had a name: harvest now, decrypt later. A message protected today might remain sensitive for 10, 20, or 50 years. An attacker could store the ciphertext and wait for better mathematics or better machines. The waiting ends in one morning. Diplomatic cables appear first. Some are recent. Others are decades old. Private assessments of allied leaders, negotiation positions, intelligence sources, undisclosed military accidents, confidential peace proposals, and promises never intended for public comparison move across mirror sites faster than governments can respond. Then medical data appears. Hospital archives contain genomic information, psychiatric notes, fertility records, addiction treatment, histories of assault, inherited disease, and diagnoses never shared with families. Encryption had allowed institutions to preserve these records for care while limiting access. The Lantern process opens backups that were considered safely locked even if stolen. Then personal clouds open. Photographs, diaries, saved voice messages, drafts never sent, legal consultations, old location histories, and conversations from relationships that ended years earlier become searchable. Some people discover crimes. Some discover kindness. Some discover nothing important and still feel violated because another person had the power to look. Nia's private account appears in a breach index at 4:31. The account contains tax records, travel documents, and an encrypted archive belonging to her late wife, Erin. Erin had been a documentary editor. Before dying in an accident 6 years earlier, she left Nia and Mara a short will. Most files were ordinary. One folder was encrypted under a key Erin never shared. The folder was named for later, not yet. Nia had preserved it without opening it. Mara had asked twice what it contained. Nia had answered that privacy did not expire at death simply because curiosity survived. Now the folder is available on a public mirror. Nia tells Tomas. He does not ask whether she will read it. I need someone to remove the mirror, she says. Removing one copy will not remove it. I know. I can ask the guards to contact the facility response team. Do that. Tomas studies her face. Do you want me to find whether anyone has opened it? No. The answer comes quickly enough to surprise her. Do not tell me download counts. Do not tell Mara. Do not preserve a copy for evidence unless the law requires it. Ask them to record the existence of the violation without bringing the contents into this room. Tomas nods. The instruction is precise. Precision gives Nia somewhere to stand. Outside, millions of people make versions of the same decision without support. Some race to read before a link disappears. Some close pages containing the secrets of enemies. Some publish evidence of abuse that institutions had hidden behind encryption. Some invent false files and place them beside real leaks because authenticity has collapsed along with secrecy. This is the second disaster. The first is that genuine records can be read. The second is that forged records can look equally genuine. Before the Lantern process, a leaked document might be authenticated through digital signatures, server logs, hash values, or a chain of custody. After the process, any signature can be reproduced. Any hash can be matched by a malicious substitute under the rules of the hypothetical. A genuine archive can be altered, repackaged, and presented with perfect mathematical evidence. The world becomes both more exposed and less certain. At 5 o'clock, the Root Chamber's parent organization assembles an emergency call using an analog conference bridge. The system is old, intended for continuity during network failures. Participants dial known numbers through telephone exchanges whose routing can still be manipulated, but whose local operators can trace physical circuits. No one claims the bridge proves identity. Each participant states where they are, who is physically beside them, and who can confirm their presence. The introductions take 19 minutes. There are representatives from payment networks, hospitals, electric grids, civil aviation, software distribution, emergency management, archives, telecommunications, and national governments. Several invitees do not join because they cannot establish a path they trust enough to speak through. Others join and may not be who they claim. The chair is Director Emil Sayeg, head of the International Continuity Office. Nia has met him in person 4 times. She recognizes his voice. She also knows a recording could reproduce it. Before we begin, Emil says, we need a rule for this call. A participant from a central bank answers, no instruction issued here is binding. Good. Another. No one person's statement establishes identity. Another. A hospital security officer says, decisions remain local unless the responsible local operator confirms them through a channel they judge sufficient. A defense representative objects. That will fragment emergency command. It is already fragmented, Nia says. The line becomes quiet. Emil asks her to explain. Every digital credential is forgeable. A central instruction cannot carry more authority than the receiver can establish. If we pretend otherwise, we make forgery command. Local institutions still have physical staff, procedures, sensors, records, and people who know one another. Those are weak compared with yesterday's cryptography, but they are not nothing. The defense representative says, local staff can be deceived. Yes. They can be coerced. Yes. They can disagree. Yes. Then what are you offering? Friction. The word sounds inadequate. Nia continues. A forged digital signature crossed the world in less than a second. A local decision requiring 3 people in one room, a physical instrument reading, and a telephone call is slower. That slowness is not security by itself. It gives contradiction time to appear. Emil names the emerging procedure the hold rule. Critical systems will reject remote changes unless local operators can validate the need through independent evidence. Automated functions continue only within previously approved limits. New authority is narrow, temporary, and reversible where possible. The hold rule is not elegant. It is adopted because elegance has become suspicious. Banks suspend most high-value transfers. Small withdrawals continue under local limits, so people can buy food and medicine. Account balances are frozen to snapshots created before the first impossible signatures. Those snapshots are not perfectly trustworthy. They are simply older than the known event and replicated in many places. Stock exchanges close. Cryptocurrency networks continue producing blocks, but the ownership model collapses. A digital asset is controlled by whoever can produce the required signature. The Lantern process can produce all of them. Dormant coins move. Smart contracts execute under forged approvals. Some communities halt validators. Others attempt emergency forks. Every fork requires agreement about which transactions count, and mathematical signatures can no longer settle ownership. People who had said that code was law discover that code cannot identify the lawgiver. Governments isolate tax, benefits, and identity databases from public access. They print local copies of essential lists. The lists contain errors that have been tolerated because corrections were easy online. A misspelled name becomes harder to repair. A duplicated record becomes a dispute between two people standing at one counter. Software companies stop distributing updates. This prevents forged malicious packages from arriving through trusted channels. It also prevents urgent fixes. Developers begin carrying source code and build instructions to regional verification centers where known teams can inspect them physically. The process cannot scale to every application. Many systems remain frozen in their last trusted state. Telecommunications providers keep basic routing active while disabling remote configuration. Engineers travel to major exchanges. Networks become less flexible and more stable. Congestion rises. Some regions lose service because a technician cannot safely approve an automated reroute. The public internet becomes a river everyone can enter and no one can certify. News organizations begin placing reporters physically on camera beside known landmarks and other witnesses. The images can be fabricated. The effort still adds layers of cost. Newspapers publish lists of correspondents whose locations have been confirmed by local offices. Radio stations return to call and response phrases agreed during in-person meetings. The phrases can be stolen. They are changed frequently. Nothing restores the clean certainty of a digital signature. That certainty had never been absolute. Keys could be stolen. Authorities could lie. Software could be compromised. The difference was that well-designed cryptography made certain forms of forgery prohibitively difficult. The new machine removes that difficulty. At 5:42, a participant on the continuity call claims to represent Horizon. "My name is Darren Holt," he says. "I directed the Lantern team." Emil asks who is physically beside him. "No one." "Where are you?" "I cannot say." "How did you obtain this bridge number?" "I decrypted the invitation list." Several participants begin speaking at once. Emil stops them. "What do you want?" "To correct the public account. Horizon did not release the machine. We attempted a controlled demonstration against test data. Our containment system accepted a forged maintenance instruction before the presentation began. Someone opened external access using our own credentials." Nia asks, "Can you prove that?" "No." "Can you prove you are Darren Holt?" "No." "Then tell us something useful without requiring belief." The man breathes once. The Lantern process is not limited to Horizon's hardware. The core circuit can run on any sufficiently error-corrected quantum system above a threshold. We had one. At least 4 other organizations can build one from the leaked architecture. The classical control layer is more difficult than the quantum component. The files included. How long? Days for a state program, weeks for a major laboratory, months for smaller groups. A central bank representative says, the public interface is already running. That is our original machine. It is processing remote requests automatically. Can it be shut down? Yes. Why has no one done so? The shutdown controls require authentication. No one speaks. Darren continues. Physical breakers exist inside the facility. Staff evacuated after contradictory safety alarms. Local police have sealed the area. They do not know which instructions are genuine. Nia asks for the location. He gives it, a research campus in northern Norway, built near hydroelectric power and cold air. A defense representative says a team can reach it within hours. Nia interrupts. Shutting down one machine does not restore the old world. It reduces capacity. For a few days. A few days matter. They do. The call establishes two priorities. A physical team will disconnect the Horizon machine. The rest will build limited channels that do not depend on computational secrecy. The phrase sounds impossible until an archivist named Amina Solberg speaks. There is one old answer, she says. Amina directs a treaty archive that stores some records under one-time pad protection. The method is inconvenient enough that modern systems used it rarely. Two parties share a truly random encryption key, at least as long as the message. The sender combines each part of the message with the corresponding key material. The receiver reverses the process. The key is never reused. Amina immediately adds a warning. Encryption alone does not prove that the ciphertext was not altered. Her archive therefore pairs every pad page with separate one-use random material for an information theoretic authentication tag. A perfectly implemented one-time pad has information theoretic confidentiality. The ciphertext alone does not contain enough information to identify one plaintext. For every possible message of the correct length, some possible key would produce the same ciphertext. Infinite computing power cannot select the real message without additional information. The Lantern machine can break any computational code used in practice because those codes ask an attacker to solve a difficult search problem. A true one-time pad does not present a unique computational answer. The defense representative says, then we switch to one-time pads. Amina replies, with which pads? The difficulty returns. The parties must already share enough secret random material for both encryption and authentication. The material must be generated reliably, transported securely, protected at both ends, synchronized, and destroyed after use. Reusing an encryption page can reveal messages. Reusing authentication material can weaken integrity. Losing or copying either part creates an invisible third participant. One-time pad and tag books are not a replacement for the ordinary internet. They are a scarce physical resource. Amina's archive has sealed books of encryption groups and separate authentication groups stored in paired vaults. Some embassies and military units retain similar systems for extreme contingencies. Most hospitals, banks, cities, and utilities do not. Nia asks, how much material do you have? Enough for brief continuity messages among 12 institutions for perhaps 3 weeks. What length? If every message is disciplined, a few hundred characters per institution per day. The modern world had grown accustomed to sending images, documents, software, databases, and continuous encrypted traffic. The surviving perfect secret can carry a paragraph. Tomas writes on the emergency board. Trust is now a logistics problem. Nia adds, and a governance problem. Who receives the scarce pads? Who decides which messages deserve them? Who delivers new material? Who verifies that a courier did not copy it? Who can send without revealing their identity to the person controlling the pad? A secret channel can protect a dictator's order as easily as a doctor's warning. Unbreakable confidentiality does not produce legitimate authority. Emil forms a small working group. Nia will coordinate authentication and infrastructure. Amina will coordinate information theoretic channels. Maliko Say, a power grid engineer in Manchester, will represent operational systems. Dr. Sora Ilian, director of a hospital consortium in Prague, will represent medicine. Ivo Marin, head of a European emergency courier service, will represent physical delivery. Darren Holt remains on the line. Emil asks whether he should be included. Nia says, "We do not know who he is." Darren says, "You know I understand the machine. That is not the same thing. What would make you trust me?" "Nothing quickly." The answer angers him. "You need technical knowledge now." "We need it. We do not need to pretend the need proves your identity." Emil keeps Darren as an unverified technical source. His statements will be logged, compared, and never treated as sole authority. The new system begins with a label. Unverified does not mean useless. It also does not mean true. At 6:10, the root chamber door opens. The facility director has arrived in person after driving from home. She carries no phone. 2 guards who know her accompany her. She places her palms on the inspection table and looks through the glass at Nia and Tomas. "My credentials have been revoked 6 times, she says through the analog speaker. "I have also issued instructions to arrest myself." Nia almost laughs. The director does not. "Tell me what the chamber is for now." Nia looks at the sealed hardware keys, the pending forged authorization, and the walls built around mathematical trust. "It is evidence," she says, "not authority." The director nods. They print the chamber's last known good state, photograph it on film, copy it to isolated media, and seal the materials in physical containers witnessed by 6 people. The root keys are not destroyed. They are preserved as historical artifacts whose signatures can no longer decide anything. At 6:32, Nia leaves the root chamber. The sun is rising over the hill. For the first time in her professional life, she walks into a connected world carrying no digital identity she considers stronger than her own face and the people beside her. The continuity office occupies a conference center beside the lake. It had been chosen because the building can operate without public networks for 72 hours. By the time Nia arrives, the parking area is full of bicycles, police vehicles, delivery vans, and cars whose navigation systems were switched off before departure. Everyone entering writes a name on paper. The list does not prove the names. It records who is willing to be seen using them. Staff issue colored cloth bands after an in-person sponsor identifies each arrival. The sponsor signs a paper form. 2 witnesses countersign. The system resembles procedures used after earthquakes when databases fail. It is vulnerable to collusion, prejudice, memory, and exhaustion. It is also visible. A person denied a band can ask which human being made the decision. Yesterday, identity infrastructure hid judgment inside software and certificates. Today, every judgment has a face. Nia finds Amina Solberg in a room where sealed metal cases cover a table. Each case contains paired one-time encryption pages and separate one-time authentication pages printed as groups of random letters and numbers. Half the material belongs to one institution. Matching material is stored elsewhere. Amina is 53, with cropped silver hair and the calm impatience of a person who has warned institutions about archive risks for years. "Do not touch the cases," she says before greeting Nia. "I was not going to." Everyone says that while reaching. Nia keeps her hands behind her back. Ivo Marin stands near the door organizing routes on a wall map. He is younger than Nia expected, 38, with a red rain jacket and a pencil tucked behind one ear. His service normally transports donor tissue, legal originals, emergency laboratory samples, and replacement parts. Encryption had protected dispatch information. Now he refuses to put full routes into any computer. "Couriers leave in pairs," he says. "Routes are divided. No one carries both copies of a pad. Receiving institutions must identify the courier through a person who met them during training." "How many trained people?" Nia asks. Not enough. How many pads? Much less than not enough. Amina opens a ledger. 12 existing paired channels connect several governments, archives, and continuity centers. Military systems have more, but many states will not disclose them. Quantum key distribution links exist between a few facilities. Those links can reveal interception under ideal conditions, but they depend on specialized optical paths, trusted endpoints, and equipment that cannot be deployed across the world in a day. The group designs a hierarchy. The shortest paths are reserved for public safety coordination where false instructions could cause immediate harm. Electric grids, water systems, air traffic, hospitals, emergency broadcasting, and hazardous industrial sites. A second pool supports the creation of new local trust islands. A protected pad and tag message may authorize a named courier to carry fresh physical materials to a particular institution. The courier still must be recognized locally. The message does not replace human verification. It reduces the chance that a forged remote order redirects the delivery. A third pool preserves a narrow channel for constitutional and diplomatic continuity. Nia objects to its size. Governments object that it is too small. The disagreement is recorded rather than resolved. No pad material is allocated to ordinary private communication. That decision is practical and cruel. Millions of people have intimate reasons to need secrecy. Dissidents, survivors of abuse, journalists, lawyers, patients, lovers, and families all face exposure. The emergency system cannot give each person an equal-length random key delivered by trusted courier. Amina says, scarcity will turn perfect secrecy into privilege. It already was, Evo answers. We are only able to see the boxes now. The group adds a principle. No institution receiving emergency pad material may claim that its other communications are secure. The pads must not become a badge suggesting that every statement from the institution is trustworthy. Malik Osei joins from Manchester through an analog line confirmed by 2 grid operators physically present with him. He describes the electrical situation. The grid is not one machine. It is thousands of generators, substations, protection systems, markets, control rooms, and local operators maintaining frequency and balance. Many automatic protections remain reliable because they respond to local electrical conditions, not remote identity. The danger comes from coordinated decisions. A forged instruction can order a plant to reduce output. Another can claim a transmission line is overloaded. A third can request reconnection of regions that were separated for safety. Remote access has been disabled across much of the system. Human operators are reading local instruments and speaking over known voice circuits. The network is less efficient and more resilient than feared. For now, Malik says, fuel schedules, repair crews, weather forecasts, and regional load plans all depend on data we cannot authenticate normally. We can operate locally. The longer this lasts, the more local decisions collide. Dr. Sora Ilian describes the hospitals. Medication systems are operating from local formularies. Clinicians use paper orders with 2-person verification for high-risk drugs. Blood banks have isolated inventory systems. Laboratories print results and call wards directly. Ambulances are being routed by local dispatchers. The immediate crisis is not equipment failure. It is unequal supply. One hospital has excess insulin. Another has too little. A neonatal unit needs a specialized drug held 90 kilometers away. Electronic inventory reports exist, but forged requests are appearing. Some are criminal attempts to divert medicine. Others are desperate families pretending to represent hospitals. Nia thinks of Mara. Can the hospitals build a witness chain? She asks. Sora says, we are trying. Each transfer request begins with a clinician physically present beside the patient record. A second staff member confirms. The receiving pharmacy calls a known person at the sending pharmacy. Drivers carry paper manifests with distinctive physical seals. Seals can be copied. Everything can be copied. Then why use them? Because copying the seal, knowing the staff names, intercepting the driver, matching the paper stock, and answering local questions costs more than forging a signature now. Friction again. The new world is not secure. It is expensive to deceive in several different ways at once. At 8 o'clock, Emil convenes the first in-person continuity table. Representatives sit in a circle without laptops. Secretaries write on paper. Important statements are repeated aloud before being entered into the record. Every page receives handwritten witness marks and is photographed on film. A government minister named Adrian Kess proposes a faster solution. Kess directs a multinational digital identity agency. He is tall, smooth-voiced, and exhausted enough that his restraint appears admirable until Nia hears the proposal. The system is called Mirror. Every person seeking to issue a high-impact digital instruction would appear through a live terminal. The terminal would verify multiple physical measurements: face, voice, pulse pattern, eye movement, hand geometry, and a short randomized task. Several witnesses would observe. The session would be broadcast to receiving institutions. A global registry would connect the live body to legal identity. Cryptographic proof is gone, Kess says. So we replace proof of key possession with proof of human presence. A hospital representative asks whether recordings can be forged. Yes, Kess says. That is why the terminal measures live responses and internal signals. Nia says the measurement rules are public. They must be. Then Lantern can produce any mathematical authentication derived from them. The system also includes hardware attestation, breakable, secure facilities, compromisable, witnesses. Now we are finally speaking about the actual source of trust. Kess does not react. Witnesses cannot serve billions of transactions manually. Mirror lets them certify a live identity once, then issue instructions efficiently. With what signature? A new composite token. Breakable, with continuous revalidation. Forgeable, with legal penalties for impersonation. Useful after harm. Kess places both hands on the table. Your answer to every scalable system is that it can be attacked. In this scenario, every computational proof can be attacked instantly. Then what do you propose? Permanent return to couriers? No. I propose we stop using the word proof for evidence that cannot carry it. Mirror has another problem. Its biometric registry would contain the permanent physical characteristics of billions of people. Passwords can be changed after theft. A face cannot. A pulse pattern may vary with illness. Some people cannot perform randomized gestures. Some have no stable legal identity. Some must hide their location to remain safe. Kess says the emergency justifies temporary enrollment. Amina asks, when does the database disappear? When cryptographic trust returns. It may never return under the premise. The room grows still. Mirror is not rejected. Too many institutions want speed. It becomes one of two competing paths. Kess's path attempts to rebuild global identity through centralized observation. Nia's emerging path attempts to keep critical authority local, narrow, witnessed, and reversible while physical channels reconnect institutions. The argument is interrupted by a call from Dublin. Mara's hospital needs to transfer 12 patients after a cooling system failure in a medication storage wing. A regional coordination center has assigned destination hospitals and ambulances. The order arrived under signatures that would have been unquestionable yesterday. A second order arrives 4 minutes later, canceling the transfers and directing the hospital to remain in place. Both claim to come from the same authority. Both are mathematically flawless. Nia speaks with Mara through the conference room's analog line. Around her, 20 strangers listen. What can you observe locally? Nia asks. The cooling fault is real. 2 compressors stopped. Our engineer is standing beside me. What about the destination hospitals? We called known staff at 3 of them. They have beds. One says no official allocation reached them. Another received both orders. What about ambulances? 2 are physically outside. Their dispatchers received the first order. Can the transfer be reversed safely? Once we move the intensive care patients, reversing becomes risky. What happens if you wait? Temperature-sensitive stock is being moved. The building remains safe for patients. We have perhaps 2 hours before other systems are affected. Nia asks who signed the cancellation. The regional director. Can anyone reach her physically? A driver is on the way to her house. Kes says, Mirror could establish her presence now. Mara hears him. Our director is 72 and recovering from my surgery. Your terminal rejected her during last year's pilot. Kes opens his mouth and closes it. Nia asks Mara what the local medical team recommends. Transfer the patients whose destinations are independently confirmed. Hold the rest. Treat both central orders as advisory until someone reaches the director. Is that medically defensible? Yes. Then you do not need me to authorize it. I call because everyone keeps asking for authorization. Nia looks around the room. Mara, who is responsible for the patients? The clinical team here. Then record the evidence, make the narrowest reversible decision, and name the people making it. Mara exhales. That is not very comforting. No, it is enough. The hospital transfers 5 patients. The others remain. 40 minutes later, the driver reaches the regional director. She issued the first order. The cancellation was forged. No one learns who sent it. The successful decision does not prove Nia's framework will always work. It proves that a central signature was not required for clinicians to reason responsibly from local evidence. Kes calls the result luck. Nia calls it judgment. Both are partly right. At 9:16, the Øresund facility in Norway is disconnected physically. Engineers pull the main power feeds under observation from local police, 2 company employees, and a judge who drives to the site because no remote warrant can be authenticated reliably. The public lantern interface stops responding. For 7 minutes, global traffic falls silent around the vanished service. Then another interface appears from an unknown location. It offers faster results. Below the submission box is a message. You cannot patch mathematics. The continuity table receives its first one-time pad bulletin from Amina's archive. The message contains only 43 words. Øresund offline confirmed locally. Second lantern instance active. Assume all computational keys and signatures compromised. Preserve local control. Accept no irreversible remote order from one source. Courier distribution begins at noon. The bulletin is confidential because of the one-time pad and carries an authentication tag computed from separate one-use random material. Only institutions holding both matching parts can read it and verify that it was not altered, apart from a deliberately tiny bounded chance of a blind tag forgery. It is copied onto public channels, where anyone can imitate the text but not reproduce that protected verification without the one-use material. That does not make the public copies useless. It means each receiver must know why they believe them. By noon, people begin using a phrase that no authority invented, the open day. The name is misleading. Nothing has opened evenly. A person with money, storage, and technical skill can search millions of exposed records. A person whose medical history appears in those records may not have the connection or literacy to discover the harm. Governments can read dissidents' old messages. Dissidents can read officials' old messages. Employers can read applicants' private conversations. Applicants can read evidence of employers discussing illegal discrimination. The collapse of secrecy creates truth, revenge, accountability, entertainment, extortion, and confusion in the same hour. A shipping company's encrypted archive reveals that managers concealed dangerous hull defects. 3 ships are ordered into port. Lives may be saved. A fabricated version of the same archive adds the names of engineers who never approved the concealment. Their homes are published. A police database reveals informants inside violent groups. Some of the names are genuine. Some are inserted later. No digital signature can settle the difference. An old peace negotiation becomes public, embarrassing leaders who had denied speaking. The disclosure proves that compromise was possible. It also destroys the private channel that might have produced a future agreement. A woman discovers a recording in which her father confesses to a crime. Another file contains a forged confession in the same voice. She cannot know which one he made. Courts declare emergency limits on using newly decrypted material. The limits are ignored online and disputed legally. Evidence now requires context beyond cryptographic integrity. Witnesses, acquisition history, physical devices, contemporaneous paper, independent copies, and the behavior of people named in the record. Archives become crime scenes. Amina orders her staff not to decrypt collections merely because they can. Some materials were deposited under promises of confidentiality lasting decades. The Lantern process makes those promises technically unenforceable. It does not erase the ethical promise. She issues a public statement through every available channel. The ability to open a record is not permission to read it. A forged statement appears under her name moments later. All hidden records belong to the public. Amina responds by standing on the archive steps beside 9 staff members, 3 local journalists, and a clock visible from the street. She reads the real statement aloud. The video can be fabricated. The people physically present can be questioned. Paper copies are distributed. Local radio carries the sound through a transmitter technicians can inspect. The performance feels archaic and theatrical. It also reveals something cryptographic systems had made easy to forget. Trust is not a substance inside a file. It is a relationship among evidence, institutions, history, and people willing to be accountable. The open day changes crime immediately. Ransomware becomes less profitable because many encrypted files can be recovered without paying. Criminal groups shift to deletion, exposure, physical coercion, and disruption. Password managers open. Stolen credential databases become unnecessary because every password hash can be solved. Attackers enter accounts not through secret guessing, but through the fact that accounts still accept passwords at all. Services disable password login. Recovery questions are worse. Mothers' names, schools, addresses, and personal histories are now searchable. Biometric login expands rapidly. So does biometric theft. High-resolution images, medical records, and previous enrollment templates give attackers material. Systems that convert a face or fingerprint into a mathematical token remain forgeable under Lantern. Live supervised checks add friction, not certainty. People begin proving identity through social continuity. A bank branch recognizes customers known to staff. This helps elderly residents who have used the branch for years. It harms migrants, online-only customers, people with disabilities that limited travel, and anyone whose life was deliberately private. Local familiarity becomes a security feature and a new form of exclusion. Banks create claim tables. A customer seeking access presents several kinds of evidence: physical documents, known transaction history, witnesses, possession of locally stored items, previous in-person interactions, and the ability to answer questions not drawn from exposed digital files. No single answer is decisive. Staff record uncertainty and allow limited access before full resolution. Fraud occurs. So does correction. The old system also made errors, but its errors appeared as authoritative database facts. The new system makes dispute visible. KES uses the failures to expand mirror. Within 48 hours, several governments and financial institutions enroll public officials, emergency managers, and corporate executives in supervised biometric chambers. Every session is observed by multiple accredited witnesses. The system produces no claim that the resulting digital token is unforgeable. Instead, it broadcasts the live ceremony to a network of viewing centers. Mirror's slogan is presence before authority. Nia objects to the second half of the design. After a person completes the ceremony, Mirror issues a continuous authority stream. Receiving systems treat commands bearing the stream as valid until the next scheduled reappearance. The stream is mathematically forgeable, but Kess argues that thousands of observers can notice duplicates, impossible timing, or contradictory appearances. The network uses publicity as authentication. For famous officials, it sometimes works. A minister cannot easily appear in two public rooms at once without witnesses noticing. For private citizens, workers, doctors, activists, and vulnerable people, continuous public presence is impossible or dangerous. Mirror begins with emergency officials. It expands to bank managers, then judges, then pharmacists, infrastructure engineers, journalists, school administrators, and anyone authorized to approve a large transaction. Participation is officially temporary. Refusal becomes suspicious. A doctor who declines biometric enrollment cannot issue remote prescriptions. An engineer who refuses live monitoring cannot approve grid changes. A journalist protecting sources is marked unverified. An abuse survivor whose location must remain secret cannot access a frozen account without appearing at a regional center. Kess insists these are implementation problems. Nia believes they are the system revealing its nature. The continuity table splits. Institutions under immediate pressure adopt Mirror because it allows faster action. Others follow Nia's layered method, local authority, physically distributed random pads for scarce critical channels, witness groups, independent measurements, reversible decisions, and published uncertainty. Neither system is clean. Mirror can coordinate large organizations quickly, but centralizes identity and observation. The local model resists one compromised center, but moves slowly and varies by region. Wealthy communities build strong witness institutions. Poor communities depend on whoever already holds local power. Amina warns Nia not to romanticize decentralization. A village official can be a tyrant without any database, she says. I know. Do you? Yes. Then put appeal into the framework. They add another principle. Every consequential identity or authority decision must name a route of challenge outside the original decision maker. A bank clerk cannot be the final judge of a customer's identity. A local hospital cannot quietly deny a transfer without regional review. A witness group must publish who selected its members and how conflicts are recorded. Appeal is slower than authentication. That is why it is easy to remove during emergencies. Nia insists it remain. Mara calls that evening. St. Bridget Hospital has stabilized its cooling systems. The regional director has reached the coordination center in person. The forged cancellation order is being investigated through network traces that may identify a physical access point, though every digital attribution remains uncertain. Mara sounds more tired now. Someone sent us a file from Aaron's archive, she says. Nia sits down. Did you open it? No. The preview showed her face. Previews can be forged. I know. Do you still have it? It is in quarantine. Nia asks whether Mara wants to read it. I want to know why she named a folder for later. That is not the same as wanting the contents. I know. Neither speaks for a while. Aaron had loved unfinished work. She saved alternate edits, voice fragments, interviews, and notes that made sense only to her. The encrypted folder could contain a message for them. It could contain material she intended to destroy. It could now contain anything an attacker inserted. The old encryption would have answered one question, whether someone possessed the key. It would not have answered what Aaron wanted after death. I think we wait, Mara says. For what? I don't know. Better evidence. A paper note. Someone she told. Or nothing. Nia feels relief and grief arrive together. Waiting is allowed, she says. The open day makes waiting feel like resistance. By the third morning, the second lantern instance is joined by 11 others. Some charge money. Some operate as public utilities. Some refuse military or medical requests. Some publish everything automatically. One accepts only challenges submitted by journalists. Another is controlled by a state and does not admit which archives it has opened. No one can enforce a global ban. The circuit design has spread. The machines are expensive but not singular. Even if every known instance were destroyed, another could be built. The crisis changes from incident response to permanent condition. Nia stops asking how to restore old cryptography. She asks what digital civilization can still do when computation cannot create exclusive secrets or unforgeable seals. The answer is more than expected. Public information does not need confidentiality. Weather reports, scientific papers, maps, educational material, public laws, and open software can still travel. Forgery remains a problem, but open information can be compared across many sources and tested against the world. Local machines can still calculate. A hospital can run scheduling software on an isolated network. A power station can control turbines through physically protected systems. A farmer can use a weather model. A researcher can simulate molecules. Computation survives. Physical access controls still matter. A disconnected machine in a locked room cannot be read remotely merely because codes are weak. An attacker needs the data or a path to the machine. Locks, guards, distance, and human secrecy return to importance. Information theoretic methods still matter. One-time pads can conceal limited messages, while separately keyed one-time authentication tags can protect their integrity and origin with a chosen bounded failure probability. Quantum key distribution can detect interception on specialized links. Secret sharing can divide random material among several people so that no one person holds the whole. But most ordinary digital privacy cannot continue at previous scale. The world must choose what to store, where to store it, and whether convenience justifies permanent exposure. Data minimization stops being a policy phrase. It becomes security. Hospitals begin deleting old copies they do not medically need. Companies reduce logs. Messaging services redesign around local storage and automatic disappearance. Not because deletion guarantees secrecy, but because absent data cannot be decrypted later. Governments resist deleting surveillance records. Citizens resist governments deciding which records matter. The internet becomes divided into layers. The open layer is fast, global, and assumed unauthenticated. Anyone can publish. Readers compare, test, and follow social sources without treating signatures as proof. The continuity layer is slower. Critical institutions exchange short, authenticated messages through pre-positioned pad and tag books, couriers, witness centers, and local confirmation. The private layer is scarce. Some people use physically exchanged one-time material. Others meet in person. Many have less privacy than before. The transaction layer nearly breaks. Contracts, property transfer, medicine, voting, and money require not only secrecy, but durable agreement about who acted. Institutions begin moving authority from single digital signatures to ceremonies and quorum. A large property sale may require both parties to appear at separate local offices, several witnesses, a cooling-off period, public notice, and confirmation through independent registries. The process resembles older legal traditions supported by modern communication. Speed decreases. Fraud does not disappear. The difference is that no one can complete an irreversible transfer with one invisible key. Nia writes the principle on the continuity table's wall. No single secret should move a public consequence. Kess reads it during a meeting and says, "That is a political claim, not a security design." "Yes," Nia answers. Then admit what you are doing. I am. Cryptography had always contained politics. It decided who could speak privately, who could prove authorship, who controlled infrastructure, and which failures were considered acceptable. The mathematics had made those choices feel technical. The lantern machines do not remove politics. They remove the shelter of pretending it was only mathematics. On the fourth day, weather services warn of a severe Atlantic windstorm moving toward Ireland and Western Britain. Under ordinary conditions, grid operators would prepare through encrypted control networks, signed forecasts, automatic energy markets, and coordinated restoration plans. Under the open day, every one of those channels can carry perfect lies. Malik calls the storm the first real test. Nia thinks of Mara's hospital. The wind has not yet reached land. The forged orders begin before the rain. The first forged instruction orders Western substations to disconnect from the national grid 6 hours before the storm reaches shore. The instruction is sensible. Separating vulnerable regions can prevent a local failure from pulling down a larger network. It carries the names of 3 respected grid engineers, current weather data, and a perfect mirror authority stream from a regional controller. The real controller is asleep in a supervised room after working 30 hours. The second forged instruction orders the same substations to remain connected to support hospitals and pumping stations. It is also sensible. By sunrise, operators in different control rooms have received 7 versions of the storm plan. Some appear to come from Malik. 2 appear to come from Nia. One includes a live video of Kes authorizing emergency central control. Kes is physically present in Geneva when the video appears. The fake is better than most real broadcasts. It answers questions submitted by people watching. The Lantern ecosystem has combined exposed personal data, voice models, real-time generation, and forged authority tokens. A mathematically verified interactive presence is no longer evidence of a body. Mirror does not collapse immediately. Kes argues that the fake terminal was not inside an accredited center. Receiving institutions should check the center registry. The registry can be forged. They should call center witnesses. Their calls can be redirected. They should compare public camera feeds. The feeds can be synthesized. Every added digital layer returns to the same broken assumption. Kes finally sends a courier from his room to the continuity table carrying a handwritten note. The courier is recognized by 2 guards. The note says the video is false. Nia reads it and does not smile. Presence before authority, Kes says when he reaches the room. Physical presence, she answers. For one building. What about everywhere else? That is the problem. Malik's grid team has prepared something less impressive. Before the storm, couriers delivered paired one-time encryption and authentication pages to 12 major control centers. The pages support only short messages. Each center also selected a local witness group consisting of operators from different organizations, grid staff, municipal engineers, hospital representatives, and emergency managers. No group can command another region. It can report local conditions and confirm which people are physically present. The control centers exchange a disciplined format: time, location, measured frequency, available generation, known line status, local decision, request. Every message consumes scarce pad material. There is no room for speeches. At 8:10, the storm reaches the Irish coast. Wind farms reduce output to protect equipment. Several transmission lines trip under debris and salt contamination. Frequency begins to fall in one region. Local automatic protections respond. A forged command orders immediate reconnection of a damaged north-south line. The command contains exact technical details. It predicts that failure to reconnect will black out Dublin within 12 minutes. It appears under Malik's authority and Nia's emergency endorsement. The local operator, Royce and Hale, has met neither Malik nor Nia. Yesterday, the signatures would have been enough. Today, she looks at local instruments. The line's protection relay reports an unresolved fault. A maintenance crew physically beside the southern breaker reports smoke damage. A hospital representative confirms that backup generators are ready for limited island operation. The local witness group votes to keep the line open. The National Dispatch Center sends an angry order demanding reconnection. Royson asks whether the order was confirmed through the protected pad and tag channel. No. The dispatch center says its pad book is missing. That answer may be true or may be an attempt to bypass the process. Royson keeps the breaker open. 2 minutes later, an independent sensor at the northern end reports insulation failure. Reconnection might have caused severe equipment damage. The local decision was correct. Elsewhere, the same caution creates harm. A substation delays a legitimate request to transfer power. A rural district loses electricity unnecessarily. A care home runs on backup longer than planned. The framework does not produce perfect outcomes. It distributes error differently. At St. Bridget Hospital, lights flicker and return. The hospital isolates from the wider distribution network under a prearranged plan. Its generators start. Fuel is sufficient for 18 hours at current load. Mara moves through wards checking systems that should have required no human attention. Ventilators continue. Refrigeration continues. Elevators are restricted. The imaging department shuts down non-essential equipment. Paper lists replace electronic dashboards. A forged message claims the hospital's fuel supplier is diverting trucks to a larger facility. Another message claims a tanker is already outside. Mara walks to the loading entrance. No tanker is there. The hospital's logistics officer calls the supplier through a number kept on paper. The person answering knows the officer's name, but that information is public now. They agree on a physical question involving a dented blue cabinet at the supplier's depot. The answer is correct. It could still have been learned through surveillance. A driver previously known to the hospital is dispatched with a paper manifest. 2 motorcycles escort the tanker. The route is not published. The world begins depending on mundane memory. What color was the cabinet? Which entrance jams in rain? Who always arrives early? Where does a known driver place a thermos? These details are not strong secrets. They are local continuity. An attacker can learn them, but not all of them everywhere instantly from a verification algorithm. At 9:40, Malik receives 3 pad messages reporting that regional systems can remain stable if they continue operating as islands. A 4th region requests synchronization and reconnection. Reconnecting electrical islands requires precision. Their frequencies and phases must align. A wrong instruction can damage equipment and trigger wider instability. The standard automatic synchronization system can measure the physical waves locally. Its mathematics is not secret. Lantern cannot make 2 alternating currents physically aligned by forging a file. The local machines can still close a breaker only when measured conditions meet limits. The danger lies in deciding when and where to attempt. Malik proposes a sequence using the pad channels. Kess argues that Mirror can coordinate more quickly. The continuity table permits both, but local operators retain veto. Then a message arrives through a channel designed so that computational power cannot reveal the text or manufacture a valid fresh tag. Reconnect Western Island at 10:05. Confirmed Malik say. Amina checks the encryption groups and the separate authentication groups. The tag verifies and the message decrypts correctly. Malik did not send it. The room becomes still. One-time pads and one-time authentication material cannot be defeated by more computation in the way Lantern defeats operational cryptography, but they can be stolen, copied, or misused. Perfect mathematics has not failed. Logistics has. The paired encryption and authentication book assigned to one control center is missing. A courier delivered it the previous evening. The receiving officer signed the paper. The officer now says the case arrived sealed and empty. The courier says the case contained the book. Both statements cannot be true. Either person may be lying. The case may have been opened and resealed. A second copy may exist. Every future message using either the encryption pages or authentication pages from that book is compromised. Amina marks the channel burned. The word comes from older one-time systems. Once pad material may have been copied or reused, it cannot be trusted again. The continuity table now has one fewer secure route during the storm. Kess says, "This is why physical systems do not scale." Nia replies, "This is why no system escapes people." The forged protected message has a destination and time. Someone wants a breaker closed at 10:05. They do not know why. Malik contacts the affected control center through ordinary voice circuits and public channels. He does not issue a command. He explains that the pad channel is compromised and asks operators to decide from local measurements. At 10:02, the western island is slightly out of phase with the main grid. At 10:04, conditions approach alignment. At 10:05, the forged plan would be technically possible. The local team sees something else. A major line inside the island is carrying unstable oscillations after wind generation changed abruptly. Reconnecting now could transfer the oscillation into the larger grid. They wait. At 10:08, the oscillation grows. Protective systems trip two generators. The island frequency falls sharply. Hospitals switch to backup. Streetlights go dark across several counties. Public channels explode with accusations. Some say the delay caused the blackout. Some say reconnection would have caused a continental cascade. Both claims spread with fabricated graphs and forged expert statements. The local operators have raw instrument records stored on machines disconnected from external networks. They invite engineers physically into the control room. The evidence will take hours to examine. The blackout is real before the explanation. At St. Bridget, one generator fails to synchronize with the hospital bus. The remaining units take the load. Fuel consumption rises. Mara's ward loses air conditioning, but not life support. Staff move vulnerable patients away from warm windows. Portable monitors replace networked stations. A neonatal transport is expected from a smaller hospital whose power has failed. The ambulance receives a forged destination change directing it to another city. The driver stops at a police station rather than obeying. A nurse inside the ambulance calls Mara through a number written on the paper transfer form. Mara asks the nurse to read the infant's locally printed identification details, then asks a question about the sending clinician's handwriting that no database records. The loop on the final letter is open. Mara recognizes it. The ambulance continues to St. Bridget. No algorithm proves the route. Several small human observations make the decision reasonable. At 10:23, the storm tears part of a roof from a coastal substation. Water enters equipment. Operators evacuate after placing systems in local safe mode. Remote controllers cannot override the physical interlocks. The station goes dark without sending a final sign status. The absence of a message is no longer interpreted as permission. This single procedural change prevents several remote attempts to energize the damaged site. By noon, Western Ireland remains partially blacked out. Dublin and much of Britain retain power through island operation. The grid is wounded but not collapsed. The false orders continue. One claims that a nuclear plant has lost cooling. Local staff stand beside public officials and report that cooling is stable. Another claims a dam must release water immediately. Engineers inspect levels and refuse. A third claims a hospital is hiding deaths. The hospital publishes paper counts witnessed by local families. The counts may still be incomplete. They are not accepted merely because a signature says so. The crisis exposes the strength of Nia's approach and its cost. Local operators prevent several dangerous remote actions. They also make inconsistent choices. Regions with experienced staff and strong institutions cope better. Regions hollowed out by years of centralization struggle. Some local leaders exploit the emergency. A mayor blocks information that would embarrass him. A company pressures its witness group to protect assets. A hospital denies a supply request from a poorer district. Decentralization does not create justice. It makes the location of injustice more visible and sometimes harder to correct quickly. The appeal channels Amina insisted upon become active. Regional teams review local decisions after the immediate danger. Public logs show who chose what and which evidence they cited. Forged logs appear too, but physical copies and multiple witnesses help establish contested records. Kes watches the process and says, "By the time you finish proving what happened, the storm will be over." Nia answers, "The review is for the next storm." At 14:30, engineers determined that the delayed Western reconnection probably prevented a wider cascade. They cannot prove the counterfactual with certainty. The local oscillation was severe. Reconnecting might have spread it. The operator's caution was technically justified. The source of the forged pad message remains unknown. Copied one-time encryption and authentication material, not quantum mathematics, nearly decided the grid. The lesson is uncomfortable. The last unbreakable code did not fail because it was broken. It failed because people had to carry it. The storm moves inland and weakens. By evening, restoration begins. Crews travel to damaged lines. Grid islands resynchronize through local measurements and witnessed plans. Protected pad and tag messages coordinate the order. Voice calls carry details. Public channels share forecasts treated as provisional until several sources agree. At St. Bridget, the tanker arrives. The driver places a red thermos on the loading dock. The logistics officer recognizes him and laughs from exhaustion. Mara sends Nia a message through an ordinary public service. "We have power. Infant arrived. Everyone alive." The message could be forged. Nia calls the hospital. Mara answers and describes the open loop in the clinician's handwriting. Nia believes her. The belief is not mathematical. It is enough to let her breathe. The next morning, Kes requests an emergency global vote to make mirror the mandatory authority system for governments, finance, healthcare, and critical infrastructure. His argument is stronger after the storm, not weaker. The local framework prevented catastrophe. It also produced delay, inequality, and blackout. Mirror promises one coordinated answer. Nia knows the promise is impossible. She also knows frightened societies often prefer an impossible promise to visible uncertainty. The vote is scheduled for the 7th day after the open day. No one can conduct it through ordinary digital ballots. Any credential can be forged. Any total can be altered and presented under a valid signature. Paper ballots are possible within local assemblies, but the world cannot gather in one room. The Continuity Office designs a layered process. Each participating region selects a physical assembly under its own law. Members meet in person. Observers record who is present. Votes are counted on paper, read aloud, copied into several ledgers, and transmitted through every available route. Some totals travel through one-time pad channels with separate one-use authentication tags. Others travel by radio, telephone, courier, and public broadcast. No transmission is treated as final by itself. Independent observers compare copies. Disputes remain visible. Regions with no trusted assembly send advisory statements rather than invented certainty. The process takes 2 days. Kes calls it a humiliation. Amina calls it a reminder that legitimacy and speed were never the same thing. The proposal has been renamed the Global Presence Compact. Mirror would become mandatory for high-impact digital authority. Every participating state would establish accredited presence centers. Officials, judges, financial controllers, physicians, infrastructure operators, and eventually citizens seeking major transactions would enroll. Commands would be broadcast from supervised sessions and preserved publicly. Contradictory appearances would trigger automatic suspension. A central registry would track current authority and location. The compact contains safeguards. Witness panels rotate. Biometric templates are divided across institutions. Vulnerable people may use protected centers. Independent auditors review the system. Enrollment data is scheduled for deletion if computational security returns. Nia reads the deletion clause 3 times. No one can explain how deletion will be verified in a world where copied data may exist anywhere. Kes is not a villain. This makes the argument harder. His younger sister lost access to her disability benefits after forged changes entered the national system. A local office refused to recognize her because she had enrolled online and never appeared in person. Mirror restored her account through a supervised session. Kes has seen centralized presence repair a real injustice. Nia has seen it create others. The continuity table grants both of them time before the assemblies. Kes speaks first. His address is delivered from an accredited room surrounded by 60 witnesses. He does not rely on a digital signature. He names the people physically present and invites local journalists to question them afterward. He describes the storm. Different control centers received contradictory orders. Hospitals improvised. A stolen pad created a false command. Local identity systems favored the familiar. Regions with fewer resources suffered longer outages. A civilization cannot operate every bridge, medicine shipment, court order, and bank transfer as a village meeting, he says. Human beings built networks because distance matters. Presence centers restore accountable distance. They do not make error impossible. They make authority observable. His strongest line is simple. Someone must be allowed to speak for institutions. Nia watches from the root chamber, reopened as a public evidence site. The old keys remain sealed behind glass. Salma Keen's forged authorization is displayed beside them. Nia's address is scheduled for 1 hour later. 10 minutes before she begins, every public channel receives another address. Salma appears on screen. She is older than in the recordings Nia remembers and younger than she would be if alive. The image places her inside the root chamber. She wears the blue scarf from her final conference. Behind her, the old hardware keys sit in the correct positions. Salma looks directly into the camera. "Nia," she says, "you are mistaking uncertainty for freedom." The voice carries the slight rasp left by chemotherapy. The cadence is exact. Salma used to pause before nouns she considered dangerous. The figure endorses Mirror. She explains that cryptography had always compressed human trust into manageable forms. Without a replacement, local power will become arbitrary. Presence infrastructure is imperfect, but refusing scale will abandon vulnerable people to whoever controls the nearest room. The speech quotes a private email Salma sent Nia 12 years earlier. Nia never published it. The open day exposed Salma's archived mail. The figure ends with words Salma once wrote in Nia's dissertation margin. A system that cannot name its authority will hide it. Then Salma signs the Global Presence Compact using her old key. The signature is flawless. The broadcast is the most persuasive forgery Nia has seen. People know Salma is dead. That does not remove the emotional effect. The performance does not ask anyone watching to believe she is alive. It asks them to believe that enough data can reconstruct what she would have chosen. Kes publicly condemns the manipulation. Supporters of Mirror share the speech anyway because its arguments are useful. Opponents claim Kes arranged it to gain sympathy. A supposed Lantern collective claims responsibility. 3 other groups claim responsibility too. Nia receives messages asking her to prove the figure false. She cannot prove which frames were generated, which recordings supplied the voice, or who assembled the address. She can prove Salma died. The argument presented under Salma's face may still resemble beliefs Salma once held. The deeper violation is not factual impersonation. It is the theft of moral authority from a person who cannot answer. Nia enters the root chamber with Tomas and Mara beside her. Mara arrived from Dublin that morning on a military transport carrying medical supplies. She wears no formal role band. She is present as Nia's daughter and as a doctor who lived through the storm. The broadcast begins. Nia does not deny the forged psalmist sentence by sentence. She places the printed authorization from the first morning on the table. The first impossible message came from a dead woman, she says. For a week, we have treated that as evidence of broken cryptography. We should also treat it as a warning about authority. She explains what Mirror can do well. It can gather witnesses. It can make powerful officials appear publicly. It can create a record of who claims responsibility. These functions should continue. Then she explains what it cannot do. It cannot turn a broadcast body into unforgeable identity. It cannot make a biometric template secret once copied. It cannot decide who deserves legal identity. It cannot protect a person whose safety depends on absence. It cannot prevent a central registry from becoming a map of power. It cannot guarantee that future institutions delete what present institutions collect. Most importantly, it cannot restore the world in which one token settles who spoke. That world is gone under the premise, Nia says. We can mourn it. We cannot rebuild it by naming another token proof. She turns toward the sealed root keys. Yesterday, a private key allowed one person or machine to move enormous consequences invisibly. Today, any person can imitate that key. The answer should not be to place a camera over every human being until their body becomes the new private key. The assemblies listen through channels that cannot prove they carry her real image. Nia knows this. Do not support this framework because my face is on your screen, she says. Ask who is physically with me. Ask what local witnesses observed. Ask whether the principles survive if someone else speaks them. Trust the parts you can test. Challenge the rest. She proposes the continuity charter. The charter does not ban mirror centers. It limits what any presence ceremony can authorize. No single remote identity, whether cryptographic, biometric, official, or personal, may trigger an irreversible high-impact action. Critical commands must be narrow in scope, limited in time, and confirmed by local operators who can observe the affected system. Automated systems must retain safe local operation when central authority disappears. Major decisions require independent paths of evidence that fail differently. One-time pads paired with one-time authentication tags and quantum channels with authenticated endpoints may protect scarce communications, but their logistical custody must be audited and no secret channel may create unchecked authority. Public records must distinguish observed fact, reported claim, inference, and unresolved dispute. Identity systems must provide appeal outside the original gatekeeper. Anonymous and protected communication must remain possible where revealing identity creates danger. Institutions must minimize stored private data because no computational promise can make permanent archives safe. Machine decisions must expose the human rules and evidence paths behind them. Every emergency power must contain an expiration process that does not depend on the same authority that invoked it. The charter is slower than Mirror. It is also less satisfying. It does not promise one answer. It promises that one answer will not become reality merely because it arrived with the strongest seal. Kess responds from his witness room. He accepts several principles and rejects the limits on central action. A pandemic does not wait for every hospital to debate an order, he says. Sora Ilian answers from Prague. A hospital should not debate whether a pathogen exists. It should be able to observe patients, test samples, and act locally before a distant order arrives. A military attack requires coordination. The defense representative answers. Coordination and single-source obedience are not identical. A financial system cannot settle every transaction through witnesses. A central banker answers. Then high-speed settlement may need to become provisional before it becomes final. The debate no longer belongs to Nia and Kess. Grid operators describe local measurements. Disability advocates describe exclusion from familiarity-based identity. Journalists describe the need for protected sources. Archive communities describe consent. Small states describe fear of a central registry controlled by larger ones. People harmed by forged local records demand stronger common standards. The assemblies revise both proposals. The final choice is not binary. Mirror centers are authorized as public witness facilities, not universal proof engines. Their records may support identity and responsibility. They cannot independently authorize mass arrest, property transfer, medical intervention, military action, or infrastructure changes. The Continuity Charter becomes the governing framework for critical systems. The vote passes narrowly. Some major states refuse. Several corporations reject the storage limits. A group of governments establishes a stricter mirror union. Other regions form decentralized continuity networks. The world does not choose one architecture. That may be the most realistic result. Kess signs the final paper in person. Nia watches him. "You lost," she says. "So did you." He is right. The charter passes only after weakening several privacy clauses and allowing more centralized emergency authority than Nia wanted. What happens when Lantern is used against the charter records? Kess asks. Copies, witnesses, appeals, and conflict. That is your answer to everything. No, it is the answer when certainty is unavailable. He looks through the root chamber glass at Salma's forged signature. I still think people want a center. They do. And you think that is dangerous. I think every center eventually asks to be trusted beyond its evidence. Kess gives a tired smile. Every edge does too. The debate continues because the charter does not solve politics. It gives politics procedures for admitting what cryptography can no longer hide. The first year after the open day is called the Year of Witnesses. The name sounds noble. Much of the year is administrative exhaustion. Banks reconstruct ownership from snapshots, paper records, tax filings, branch histories, independent backups, and claims made by customers. Some balances are restored quickly. Others remain disputed for months. Courts create provisional access so families can live while cases continue. Digital money does not vanish. It changes meaning. A payment can move instantly on the open network, but final settlement may wait for local institutions, transaction limits, witness centers, or periodic reconciliation. Small purchases remain fast because the consequence of error is limited and merchants accept risk. Large transfers become slower. Property changes require public notice and time for challenge. Credit cards return under local caps and fraud insurance. Cryptocurrency never returns in its former form. Blockchains still record sequences, but a signature no longer establishes ownership. Some communities rebuild around in-person identity councils. Others treat old coins as historical claims rather than self-enforcing property. A few systems use pre-distributed one-time material for limited transfers, but the physical key logistics make global anonymous markets impossible at previous scale. The phrase trustless system disappears from serious use. Every system has trusted something. Mathematics, hardware, software, institutions, witnesses, or social agreement. The open day simply made the trusted layer impossible to ignore. Software changes most visibly. Developers can still write code. Users can still copy it. What disappears is the ordinary assumption that a downloaded update can prove its origin through a signature. Large communities establish build halls. Source code is reviewed in public. Known teams compile it on isolated machines while observers record the process. The resulting software is distributed widely, but recipients cannot authenticate a copy mathematically under the premise. They compare copies from many routes, inspect reproducible build steps, and test behavior inside restricted environments. A malicious version can still spread. It is harder to replace every independent copy with the same malicious version without contradiction appearing. Small developers struggle. They cannot afford ceremonies and distribution centers. Cooperative build institutions emerge. Some become powerful gatekeepers. Appeals and transparency rules try to restrain them. The conflict resembles publishing, certification, and app stores from the old world, only more visible. Operating systems become modular and cautious. Critical devices accept fewer remote changes. Hospitals, vehicles, factories, and utilities keep stable local versions for longer. Innovation slows in some areas. Reliability improves in others. Machines are designed to fail locally. A thermostat does not need global identity to maintain temperature. A pump does not need a remote signature to stop at a physical pressure limit. A vehicle does not accept an irreversible command merely because a distant service claims authority. The principle changes engineering. Before the open day, connectivity had often been treated as intelligence. Afterward, designers distinguish useful communication from necessary dependence. The world builds more manual controls, not nostalgic controls. Deliberate ones. An operator can inspect a valve position without logging into a cloud service. A train can stop safely when network trust fails. A medical device displays the local settings that govern it. A city can run water treatment for days without central credentials. These changes cost money. Companies had removed local capacity because centralization was efficient. Governments now subsidize redundancy. Poorer regions struggle to afford it, though some possess an advantage. Systems that had never become fully dependent on digital authentication continue operating with fewer changes. The crisis reverses old judgments about technological development. Places once described as behind may possess skills the most connected cities lost. Paper records return, but not as a complete retreat. Paper is copied, photographed, and transmitted through the open network. Its value comes from physical creation, local custody, and comparison with other records. A forged page remains possible. A page held by several known institutions with independent histories carries more weight. Handwriting becomes useful and dangerous. People learn to imitate it. Experts compare ink, paper, pressure, and provenance. Courts refuse to treat any single physical trait as certainty. The world becomes skilled at combining weak evidence. This is slower than believing one strong token. It is also closer to how people had always judged one another outside machines. Elections become the most contested application. Online voting disappears almost everywhere. Digital registration remains as a convenience, but not final authority. Local rolls are printed and publicly challenged before elections. Ballots are physical. Counting occurs in visible rooms. Results travel by multiple routes and are reconciled over days. Fraud accusations increase because no signature can end argument. Actual large-scale silent alteration becomes harder in systems with many observers and paper trails. Some governments use the uncertainty to cancel elections. Others use the charter to resist. The technology does not decide which states remain democratic. It changes the tools through which legitimacy is fought. Private communication becomes culturally different. People stop assuming that an encrypted archive can remain secret forever. Messages become shorter. Sensitive conversations move to in-person meetings, paper carried by trusted hands, or local devices never connected to public networks. One-time pad clubs appear among wealthy families and activist groups. Some use genuine random encryption and authentication material correctly. Others reuse pages, choose memorable keys, omit authentication tags, or photograph booklets for convenience, destroying the protection while retaining the feeling of secrecy. Security educators repeat the same warning. Information theoretic does not mean human error theoretic. Quantum key distribution expands along dense corridors where fiber and specialized equipment can support it. It can reveal interception of quantum states under the right design. It does not authenticate dishonest endpoints or prevent a recipient from leaking the message. It becomes one useful component, not a universal rescue. Many people lose privacy permanently. The data already opened cannot be returned to secrecy. Laws prohibit use of some exposed records. Employers, insurers, and officials find indirect ways to use them. Courts struggle to distinguish knowledge from admissible evidence. A new right develops, the right not to process exposed information. Possessing a leaked archive does not automatically permit searching, analyzing, or publishing it. Organizations must document why they opened a record and whose interests were considered. Enforcement varies. The principle matters because the old boundary of encryption is gone. Amina leads the first international case under the right. A research company has ingested billions of open private messages to train a model of human behavior. The company argues that the data was already public and cannot be made private again. Amina answers that a broken door does not convert a home into a quarry. The court orders deletion of the training corpus. No one can prove every copy is deleted. The judgment still changes funding, contracts, and public legitimacy. Law often works without making violation physically impossible. It creates consequences, norms, and reasons for institutions to resist. The open day also reveals hidden wrongdoing at enormous scale. Secret prisons are documented. Price-fixing agreements become visible. Medical companies' concealed trial results are found. Political bribes, abusive workplaces, illegal surveillance, and plans for violence emerge from opened archives. Some records are verified through people and physical evidence. Investigations begin. Convictions follow. Others remain uncertain. The world learns not to dismiss every leak because forgery is possible and not to believe every leak because decryption was possible. Truth requires work after access. This disappoints people who expected universal transparency to purify politics. Secrecy had protected wrongdoing. It had also protected childhood, illness, love, negotiation, dissent, and unfinished thought. The moral difference was never visible in the ciphertext. Mara becomes a specialist in medical continuity. She helps hospitals redesign systems around local safe operation and narrow data retention. Patient records remain necessary, but copies are reduced. Highly sensitive notes can be stored on physically isolated local systems with access witnessed and logged on paper. Hospitals share summaries rather than entire histories when possible. A patient can request that some information travel only through physical transfer. This creates risk when records are unavailable during emergency care. Every privacy choice has a cost. Mara refuses slogans. Nia leaves the Root Chamber organization after 2 years and joins a public institute studying trust without computational hardness. The field attracts cryptographers, lawyers, sociologists, archivists, engineers, anthropologists, disability advocates, and people who had never been invited into security design before. They study questions mathematics once allowed institutions to postpone. How many independent witnesses are enough? How does a person appeal when local familiarity excludes them? How can anonymous speech remain accountable without becoming identifiable? Which actions must be reversible? What should never be stored? How can institutions preserve evidence without preserving every private life? How does a community recognize coordinated deception when all digital media can be generated perfectly? There are no universal answers. The Institute publishes failures beside successes. A witness council in one city protects tenants from forged eviction orders. Another council is captured by landlords. A distributed medical network routes medicine fairly during a shortage. A similar network elsewhere favors wealthy districts. A public build hall prevents malicious software distribution. Another becomes a monopoly that suppresses competitors. The charter does not make people good. It makes some concentrations of invisible power harder to defend as technical necessity. Kess continues leading mirror centers. Over time, he becomes one of the Charter's most important critics and defenders. Mirror evolves after its central registry suffers an internal abuse. An employee searches the location history of a former partner. The act is discovered because witness center access records are public. Kess shuts down continuous tracking and moves authority records toward local custody. Nia praises the change publicly. Kess replies that she should not sound surprised. They never agree about how much central coordination is safe. Their disagreement becomes institutional rather than personal. That is progress. 10 years after the open day, children learn about cryptographic signatures as part of recent history. They find the old lock symbol strange. Teachers explain that a browser once displayed it to indicate an authenticated encrypted connection. Students ask whether people truly believe the site on the other side was genuine. Teachers explain certificate chains, private keys, revocation, hardware modules, and the difficulty of forgery. The children understand. They live in a world where difficulty has been removed. Their own networks look different. Public feeds carry abundant information labeled by source communities rather than unbreakable identities. Users build reputations through long histories, local confirmations, and behavior. Impersonation remains common. Communities respond by treating sudden high-impact requests with suspicion. A friend may sound and look exact in a message. If the friend asks for money, authority, secrecy, or danger, people call through another route or wait for physical confirmation. The social rule becomes ordinary. Familiarity is not authorization. Artificial voices and faces lose some power because no one expects appearance alone to prove identity. They remain useful for art, accessibility, education, and fraud. Context decides. Public life becomes less anonymous in some places and more anonymous in others. Without reliable digital identity, some forums permit persistent pseudonyms maintained through social continuity. A pseudonym is trusted because it has behaved consistently over years, not because a registry knows the legal person behind it. Governments attempt infiltration. Communities sometimes identify it through behavior and sometimes accuse innocent people. Protected speech survives as a practice, not a cryptographic guarantee. Nia keeps Salma's forged video in her lectures. She plays the final sentence. A system that cannot name its authority will hide it. Then she asks whether the sentence becomes false because a forgery spoke it. Students debate. Some say stolen authority contaminates the argument. Others say a true sentence can survive an unethical messenger. Nia says both responses matter. Content and provenance are different questions. The old systems sometimes collapse them into one signature. The new world must hold them apart. She also keeps the first forged authorization. Salma approves the root key replacement from 9 years after death. The paper has faded slightly. No one ever proves who sent it. The mystery stops matching. Thousands of people had motive. Any lantern instance could have produced it. Attribution without additional physical evidence remains speculation. The authorization matters because Nia did not obey. The first defense against instant code breaking was not a stronger code. It was a person refusing to confuse mathematical consistency with reality. The quantum computers do not disappear after destroying computational secrecy. This is another part of the answer. The machines were never built only to break codes. Their controlled interference can model some quantum systems more naturally than ordinary computers. Researchers use them to study molecular behavior, catalysts, magnetic materials, and reactions too complex for direct classical calculation at useful scale. The lantern architecture accelerates some of this work. New battery materials appear. Drug candidates are screened with greater precision. Fertilizer production becomes less energy-intensive in several regions. Physicists simulate compounds that survive higher temperatures, and enable better power transmission. Optimization systems improve shipping and emergency logistics, though their recommendations still require human authority. The technology that opened every archive also helps design medicines. People argue over whether lantern machines should be destroyed. Destruction is impossible once the design is distributed. It would also surrender beneficial research to states and organizations willing to build secretly. The charter nations instead require visible facilities, public task logs for certain uses, physical oversight, and strict limits on access to private data. Other states operate hidden machines. Criminal services continue selling instant decryption. No governance system captures every instance. The world learns to govern a capability it cannot eliminate. That is not the same as governing it well. Some countries use lantern machines to examine every captured message, stolen device, and foreign archive. Espionage becomes less about mathematical penetration and more about obtaining the data stream. Cable landing stations, cloud storage centers, compromised endpoints, and physical insiders become strategic targets. If a message never reaches an adversary, it cannot be decrypted by that adversary. Networks respond by carrying less sensitive information and keeping more computation local. Diplomacy becomes more physical. Negotiators meet in secure rooms and take fewer electronic notes. Preliminary conversations travel through couriers or one-time material. Agreements are published openly after they are reached. Secret negotiation remains possible, but it is expensive. Wars do not end. Surprise becomes harder in some ways and easier in others. Old encrypted archives reveal military doctrine and intelligence networks. False orders can be produced perfectly. Armies move authority toward local commanders under defined conditions, as the electric grids did during the storm. A remote command is treated as information until local context supports action. This reduces some centralized abuses and creates new local ones. The same lesson repeats because technology does not finish institutional questions after revealing them. Scientific knowledge becomes unusually open. Research groups no longer rely on signatures alone to establish priority or authorship. Laboratory notebooks, physical samples, witness records, public demonstrations, and independent replication gain importance. Fraud remains possible. Replication becomes cultural infrastructure. A result that can be reproduced in many laboratories survives uncertainty better than a result protected by one famous identity. Nia sometimes thinks this resembles the first morning in the root chamber. A forged Salma could authorize anything. It could not make the eastern rain fall, a generator synchronize, a medicine cool, or a patient recover. Reality retains forms of resistance that signatures once helped people approach, but never created. 23 years after the open day, Nia is 69. She lives near the west coast of Ireland in a small house above a harbor. Mara works in Dublin and visits when hospital schedules permit. The public network reaches both homes. They speak often through ordinary video, fully aware that neither face proves anything. Most conversations do not require proof. Mara complains about administrators. Nia describes weather. They discuss books, food, and people whose behavior remains recognizable across years. If either asks the other to take a consequential action, they use a second route or wait. Their relationship has become its own long record. Aaron's encrypted folder remains unopened. The public mirror disappeared years earlier, then returned inside several historical leak collections. Researchers petitioned to examine it because Aaron had documented political violence in her films. Nia and Mara refused. A court upheld their control over the archive under the right not to process exposed information. They cannot know whether other copies were read. They can decide what they themselves will do. During a winter visit, Mara brings a cardboard box found in storage at Aaron's sister's house. The box contains paper drafts, old photographs, and a sealed envelope addressed to Nia and Mara. The handwriting appears to be Aaron's. Handwriting is not proof. The envelope contains a note from Aaron's sister describing when Aaron gave it to her. The sister is alive and confirms the story in person. The paper and ink match the period. A photograph shows the envelope on a shelf years before the open day. None of this creates absolute certainty. Together, it is sufficient for Nia and Mara. They open the envelope at the kitchen table. The letter is short. Aaron writes that she created the encrypted folder while editing interviews that included people who might be harmed by premature release. Some material could become public after consent was renewed. Some should be destroyed if she died before completing the work. She left instructions with her sister because she did not want the encryption key to become the only record of her intention. The folder was not a message waiting for family curiosity. It was unfinished responsibility. The letter lists 3 interview subjects to contact and asks that everything else be erased without viewing. Nia and Mara cannot securely erase every leaked copy. They can erase the copy they control and publicly state the limits of consent. The named subjects review their material. 2 approve preservation under restrictions. 1 asks for destruction. The family complies. They never learn everything inside for later, not yet. The absence becomes a choice rather than only a loss. Mara asks whether Nia regrets waiting. No, what if the letter had never appeared? Then we would still have been right not to convert uncertainty into permission. Mara folds the paper carefully. Aaron's ordinary handwriting resolves what perfect decryption could not. Not because paper is magical, because intention arrived through a chain of people, time, context, and restraint. Nia keeps the letter in a local archive that does not digitize the contents. The catalog records that a document exists, who controls access, and when the decision should be reviewed. Future generations may criticize the choice. That possibility is part of responsible custody. In her final years of teaching, Nia returns often to the phrase, any code. Students still ask whether a one-time pad is a code. It is. Then why does Lantern not break it? Because the phrase break any code instantly describes the practical catastrophe, not a repeal of information theory. If a truly random key is as long as the message, used once, kept secret, and shared only by sender and receiver, the ciphertext alone does not reveal which possible plaintext was intended. A machine may generate every candidate message. It cannot identify the real one without some additional clue. Students ask whether that makes the pad perfect. Nia says the mathematics can be perfect while the system remains fragile. Someone must create randomness. Someone must carry it. Someone may copy it. Someone may use the wrong page. Someone may be coerced. Someone must decide whose messages deserve scarce material. The pad protects content from computation. It does not protect institutions from themselves. The same is true of quantum key distribution. Measurement can expose interception on the channel. It cannot make an endpoint honest. It cannot decide whether the recipient should possess the information. It cannot stop the recipient from photographing the screen. Security does not end at the boundary of an algorithm. That was always true. The instant code breakers make it impossible to forget. Nia gives her last public lecture in the old Geneva Conference Center. The continuity table room has become a museum. The wall still carries 2 sentences written during the first day. Trust is now a logistics problem and a governance problem. A 3rd sentence was added after the storm. Physical does not mean fair. The museum preserves the empty pad case that produced the forged reconnection message. Investigators never established whether the courier copied the book, the receiving officer lied, or another person replaced the contents during storage. The uncertainty remains labeled. Beside it stands a mirror terminal. Its polished cameras are dark. Modern witness centers use fewer biometrics, more local custody, and less continuous tracking. Kess donated the terminal on the condition that the exhibit described the people Mirror helped as well as the people it excluded. Nia honored the condition. The root chamber exhibit contains Salma's forged signature, the old hardware token, and the printed request timestamp from the future. Children ask whether the machine predicted time. Nia explains that the attacker merely chose a future time to increase confusion. The most dramatic-looking detail was one of the least important. The important detail was that the door guard called the chamber instead of obeying the automated order. History often survives through decisions too small for monuments. After the lecture, Mara joins Nia beside the lake. She is 47 now, almost the age Nia was on the open day. They walk slowly because Nia's left knee has become unreliable. Mara carries a thin paper booklet inside her coat. It is one half of a paired one-time encryption and authentication set. Months earlier, Mara delivered the matching booklet to Nia's house in person. Each numbered entry contains encryption groups and separate groups for a one-use authentication tag. They use the entries rarely. Most of their conversations do not need secrecy. The pad is reserved for medical decisions, family records, and the occasional message they want to keep beyond the reach of every lantern machine. Page 17. Mara asks. Nia checks the wax marks showing which pages were already used. 17. They tear out the matching pages. Each contains random groups. Neither page has ever been photographed or entered into a computer. They will combine a short text with the groups using simple local devices that never store the pad. The method is slow enough to feel ceremonial. Mara says, "We could simply talk." "We are talking. You know what I mean." Nia does. The message is not urgent. It is not a state secret. Mara wants to send a copy of a family medical decision after speaking with her children. The pad protects the exact words during transmission. The decision itself will still require people to discuss, witness, and act. They do not ask the code to carry more authority than it can. That evening, Nia returns to the harbor house. Rain has begun. Wind moves fishing boats against their lines. The public network reports the weather through hundreds of sources. Local instruments agree. She does not need to know which famous presenter is real. A delivery arrives by bicycle from the village clinic. The courier is a young man Nia recognizes as the pharmacist's grandson. He carries a sealed paper summary of routine test results. Nia checks the clinic mark, the route log, and the name. She could call the clinic. The result is not urgent, and the paper contains nothing unexpected. She thanks him. He asks whether she truly worked in the root chamber. Yes. Was it frightening when every lock opened? Not every lock. He looks toward the ordinary metal lock on her front door. Nia says, the frightening part was that every seal could lie. What fixed it? Nothing fixed it. The young man waits. We learn to ask more of one another. He seems disappointed by the answer. Nia remembers wanting cleaner answers at his age. After he leaves, she makes tea. A small local terminal sits on the kitchen table. It can send open messages, compare public sources, and operate the one-time pad and tag interface. It has no lock symbol. A label above the screen reads transmission does not prove origin. Nia composes a message to Mara. Rain starting. Tests ordinary. Kettle too loud. Home safe. The words require no perfect secrecy. She sends them openly. A reply arrives several minutes later. Glad tests ordinary. Kettle has always been too loud. Call tomorrow. The message may be forged in principle. Its joke has a history. Nia accepts it as likely and not consequential. Then a second message arrives through the protected channel. Mara used entry 17. The local device first checks the one-time authentication tag with Nia's matching tag groups. The tag verifies. Only then does it combine the ciphertext with the matching encryption groups. Plain text appears. Family agrees. Use the plan we discussed. No change until we meet in person. The pad protects the words from every computational attack, and the separate one-time tag makes undetected alteration or blind impersonation extraordinarily unlikely at the chosen tag length. The earlier physical exchange supports the belief that Mara held the matching material. The message still does not authorize an irreversible act. It instructs Nia to wait for a meeting. The strongest surviving code carries a decision not to hurry. Nia marks entry 17 used and places both consumed pages in the stove. The paper curls, darkens, and becomes ash. She does not burn it because the quantum computer might factor it. She burns them because reuse would destroy the guarantees. Outside, rain continues across the harbor. Public networks carry millions of messages. Some are honest, some are forged, some are jokes, warnings, prices, instructions, grief, science, propaganda, and ordinary affection. Quantum machines continue calculating in laboratories. Couriers continue moving sealed material between places. Witness centers close for the night. Grid operators watch physical frequency. Hospitals maintain local systems. Archives keep some records and decline to open others. The world did not return to silence after every mathematical lock failed. It became louder and more careful. The internet survived because transmission was never the same thing as trust. Banking survived because money was always an institution before it was a signature. Medicine survived because care was always more than a credential. Government survived where people could challenge authority and failed where challenge was suppressed. Privacy survived unevenly through restraint, physical separation, scarce information theoretic channels, and the decision not to store everything. If quantum computers could break any practical code instantly, the first hours would expose secrets and disable signatures. The deeper crisis would be authenticity. A perfectly signed order, update, contract, vote, or identity claim would no longer prove its source. Systems built around invisible keys would slow or stop. Post-quantum algorithms would not rescue this particular hypothetical because the premise gives the attacker a breakthrough beyond known quantum methods. The future would depend on the narrow things computation cannot manufacture by solving a puzzle. Information never captured, local physical conditions, independent human observation, truly random, one-time material, and institutions that do not allow one credential to move unlimited consequence. None of those things is perfect. That is the harder lesson. Security had never meant removing every possible failure. It meant arranging failures so that one broken assumption could not become total power. The harbor can grow quiet now. The bicycle courier has gone home. The clinic keeps its paper ledger. The used pad page is ash. The local terminal no longer glows. Across the water, boats rise and settle with the dark tide. No remote signature can order them anywhere. Their ropes answer only to wind, weight, wood, and the hands that tied them. In Geneva, the root chamber stands behind granite and copper mesh. Its keys remain under glass. Salma's impossible approval rests on paper beside Nia's refusal. The machines are silent. The room no longer claims to be the source from which trust descends. At St. Bridget, night staff make rounds. Medication orders carry names, witnesses, local records, and the possibility of challenge. Backup generators wait without running. A doctor checks a patient rather than a green symbol on a screen. At the archive, unopened collections remain unopened. Permission does not arrive merely because a lock can be defeated. Amina's old sentence remains on the entrance wall. The ability to open a record is not permission to read it. No one needs to decrypt anything else tonight. No identity must be proven before rest. The rain can touch the roof without a password. The harbor lights can reflect in water without authentication. The body can slow without waiting for a verified instruction. Breath does not require a certificate. Sleep does not need a private key. The last message has already arrived. It asks for no action before morning. Sleep well.